I ask right now for you to pray for Kash Patel. Pray for protection because they're coming after him. They being the deep state. Their worst nightmare has come true. President Trump over the weekend appointed Kash Patel to be the next director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations. That will give him an extreme level of power, of course, having the Bureau at his disposal, but perhaps more importantly, it gives him the treasure trove of information that is currently locked away in the FBI vaults, locked away in their computers, their file cabinets, whatever. Tons of information that the deep state would never want to see the light of day. And Kash Patel has indicated multiple times that he wants many of those documents, perhaps all of those documents, to be released. Now, obviously, if anything that has true national security implications, he would not release. His past roles within the government, especially at DNI, have demonstrated that he does understand when things should be kept secret. Where releasing them would do actual harm to America or to the Constitution or to the American people. But a lot of times, and I would argue it's probably the vast majority of time, whenever they say, oh, we can't tell you that because of national security reasons, it's really just to protect somebody or something. It's to protect the people, cronies, world leaders perhaps, business leaders, whoever, people that perhaps they don't want exposed. Has nothing to do with, if we expose that person, then North Korea is going to get nukes. Or if we reveal, how many FBI agents there were, then those agents will be in danger. No, that's what? It doesn't make any sense. But that's what they do. And they keep their secrets by hiding behind the veil of national security. We can't confirm whether or not it has anything to do with national security because it's secret because of national security. Well, hopefully, Kash Patel will cut through that and take the things that really have nothing to do with national security and let us know. And again, I can't reiterate this enough. That is what terrifies the deep state the most. So they're going to go after him. They're actually in the process of going after him. And we're not just talking about, let's send John Bolton out there to make fun of him. Let's send Andrew McCabe out there to call him a threat to democracy. No, they're really going to go after him hard. And this is why I'm asking for prayers. One of the things they're going to do, probably the first thing they're in the process of doing right now, is to try to compromise him. They want to blackmail him. They would love, their ideal situation, they're not happy that he's the appointee, but if they can turn him, if they can control him, then that's the ideal situation. Having somebody in there that President Trump trusts, that the American people trust, having somebody in there that they then control, that would be the ideal scenario. And they do this all the time. They find ways to control these people. And I'm not going to go into it again. I already got a strike on YouTube for that one. And not that I care, just to be clear, but it's really more of a timing issue. I will again do another deep dive into how they compromise so many people. We're talking about tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Americans around us that are completely compromised and known by the deep state. We're not going to go into that today. Just take my word for it. It's happening. And it does happen even in the halls of government in Washington, D.C., and they are going to try to make that happen against Kash Patel. If they cannot compromise him, if they cannot blackmail him, and Lord willing they cannot, then they will try to bury him with a mountain of dirt. They will investigate him. They will investigate his family. They will go back into the past. They will look into his finances. They will look for any possible way that they can discredit him and potentially even remove him from consideration. We saw a taste of that they did with Matt Gaetz, and they've been doing that with Matt Gaetz for a while. Thankfully, Kash Patel comes in without a pre-existing investigation, but that's not going to stop them from trying to find something. I would not be surprised if they try to find his version of Christine Blasey Ford. Somebody to come out and say, Kash Patel, we were at a party in 1992, and I guess he would only be 14 at that point, but pick a better time. 1999, there we go. I was at a party with him in 1999, and he touched me, or I don't know what they're going to do, but something to that effect. I would expect them to at least try. And if they can't make any of that stick, then it could be even worse. I mean, we are talking about a group of people that tried to smear and did arrest and try to jail a presidential candidate and possibly, likely, tried to assassinate a presidential candidate. Nothing is off the table for these people because they have far too much to protect. They are willing to do anything to stick their necks out as far as possible if there's a chance they can keep their dirty little secrets a secret. Of course, probably number one on the list, I know this is one that most people are talking about, would be the Epstein list. He has expressed his desire to have the Epstein list released. He said in reference, and this is a while back, he said in reference to President Trump running for re-election that he should announce and declare up front that if he's elected, he's going to release the Epstein list. And so if he's saying that back then, hopefully now that he will have access and control of the Epstein list, hopefully FBI Director Kash Patel will release it. The same thing can be said about the Diddy party list. Chances are he would want to release that as well. And I hope that he does. Those two in particular, I mean, there's enough. Let's set aside the tabloid aspect of it. There are people, hopefully, I don't hope that there's people that we can punish, but there are people that obviously need to be punished, need to be exposed, that are on both of those lists. And they are currently walking free. They're currently repercussion free. Maybe they're being used as assets by the deep state. I would say that's almost certainly the case. And it's like, hey, saw your name on the list. We got some videos of you. Why don't you go do this or that or the other? And we saw that. I think we saw that. I mean, I don't think the timing of the Diddy arrest was accidental. I don't think that the fact that a whole lot of celebrities who weren't going to be endorsing Kamala Harris publicly, all of a sudden they're showing up at her rallies. They're like, oh yeah, I love Kamala. I've always loved Kamala. You know, and they became fans real fast shortly after Diddy was arrested. So maybe that's why the lists haven't been released, because they're using them as leverage. I would say that's probably almost certainly the case. Of course, there is the Russiagate thing, which Kash Patel has been deeply involved with from the beginning. Kash Patel has been a victim of the Russiagate hoax, and he has led the charge to hold people accountable for their actions throughout Russiagate, including the man that he's going to replace, Christopher Wray. Watch this.
Now we know over a dozen senior congressional staffers, Democrats and Republicans, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer staffers, were unlawfully surveilled on by Christopher Wray and Rod Rosenstein and others at DOJ and FBI when we were exposing the Russiagate corruption that they lied about to a federal court and the world. And have invited every one of those staffers to come in and join my lawsuit. We sued not because we care about the money. We sued because we care about fixing this corrupt, broken law enforcement system. And Chris Wray and Rod Rosenstein and Jesse Liu and everybody else that's listed in the lawsuit is going to sit for a deposition under oath in this lawsuit, and they're going to answer questions, and I'm going to do the questioning.
He's coming. He's coming for him. What else do we have? We have the Nashville Shooter Manifesto. That, too, is being held currently by the FBI. He actually did a very, I'm not going to play it, but he did a good explainer of why that hasn't been released and how the FBI utilized not just their jurisdiction and authority as the federal Bureau of Investigation, but also the fact that they do fund many local police departments. They do they hold money over these departments, and that's one of the reasons why they're often allowed to dictate what happens during investigations, including the Nashville trans shooter, the manifesto that has still to this day never been released. Why not? I think we have an idea of why not, but I'd still like to see it, the full and original version of it. And I would be shocked if he didn't release that one. What else we've got? Of course, J6. How many agents were there? What were their roles in sparking the protests to become more aggressive on January 6th, 2021? What was Ray Epps' role? Well, Kash Patel has some opinions about that.
What you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th, because if you can show that, you know they've been out. Hang on. But the paperwork shows having run informants, that's a 6-month buildup. Minimum.
Right.
Minimum. It's not like they just dropped them into the Proud Boys and said, hey, go, don't disrupt, please. So once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation. Forget what the videotape shows.
Just for people who you can't see what's going on in the room, the reason why Kash just said hang on or whatever is because I started smirking and rolling my eyes. And what I meant to convey with that is, come on, we know they were involved.
No, look, I totally
let me clarify,
agree.
Though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know definitively. What I'm saying is a reasonable suspicion is that there were agents. There's a video showing a guy with an earpiece pulling people into the building. All right. Mm-hmm. You combine that with the evidence of Ray Epps, and it looks like you have a preponderance of evidence suggesting there may have been federal law enforcement involved in making that thing happen.
I'll get you beyond a reasonable doubt.
All
Two
right.
pieces of information. Ray Epps was on FBI's most wanted list one day, and the next day he was off of the FBI's most wanted list. There are only two ways that happens. You die, or your informant. Put that aside. Under congressional testimony, Jill Sanborn, who I used to work with, the head of the FBI Counterintelligence Division, in charge of all these investigations, testified under oath when Senator Cruz asked her, flat out, were there federal agents involved with January 6th? And she said, quote, Senator, I can't answer that at this time. Not if the answer was definitively no, having been a DOJ FBI guy myself, she would have gone there and said, nope, absolutely not. The reason she said I can't answer that is because of the same stonewalling they gave us during Russiagate with Christopher Steele, Halper, and everybody else. It's the same narrative, and I'm telling you they were there.
So you're saying that she said I can't answer that because the answer is yes, and that would compromise whatever their operation was.
Exactly.
Kudos to Tim Pool for that interview. Look, we don't know how deep that is, and no matter how deep you think the J6 conspiracy is, it's probably a heck of a lot deeper than that. And it does involve, I'm certain it involves many of the members of the January 6th committee itself, which is one of the reasons why they have been so adamantly opposed. All of them, every single member of the January 6th committee has been apoplectic. I mean, they just don't know what to do with themselves based upon the concept of Donald Trump returning to office. They are terrified, perhaps more so than even the deep state. They are terrified of their lies, their crimes, their sins being exposed. And they too are desperate. Kash Patel has a lot of potential enemies out there, and we need to pray for him. Perhaps the most important thing that he has expressed as far as his plans, as far as what he would do if he were FBI director, it's not just the release of information. It's, and stay with me on this, it's his desire to make agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigations actually investigate crimes. I know, it's a crazy thought. I mean, mind-blowing thought that perhaps the nation's top-level, most heavily funded law enforcement agency, supposed to be the greatest law enforcement agency in the world, well, Kash Patel wants them to enforce the law. That's crazy. I mean, mind blown. Watch this.
Then we need to decrease what I call government creep with personnel. The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and rapists and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government.
So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
So massive government reform.
Yeah. You got to work with Congress to eliminate the billets. This is one of the things we did when I was deputy DNI. We got to DNI and I was like, okay, what do all these people do? We've got the CIA, so why do I have analysts doing the CIA's job here? Why do I have a floor of them? Like, give me a good answer. I don't know everything. I don't know a lot. But if you can give me an answer that satisfies their existence, I'm all in. Well, we just have our own people. Okay, well, now we don't. And we went to Congress and zeroed out a bunch of billets, and they hated us for it.
Why? Why would Congress hate you for that?
Not Congress, the public. Congress is like, great, you saved us money. You're the only agency that returned money this year because we didn't spend our entire budget. We were literally funding seats with no humans in them for years. And what the government creep that I was talking about is these agencies go to Congress every year. And again, this is why it's a thing of decades. I need 5 more seats here. I need 10 more seats here. Okay, you keep doing that. How's that going? Oh, we'll fill that seat next year. We're in the process of, interviewing people for that section. And that keeps, no one returns money. It's the biggest fiction in government that you can't return money. Every agency and department that I've ever worked for, when it comes to the fiscal end of the year, they're like, go on trips, go spend money. What? Just give it back to Congress. We can't do that.
Yeah, I think it's clear. Kash Patel is the right man for the job. Hands down, not even close. Nobody comes close to being as good of a pick for the director of the FBI than Kash Patel. But we must pray for him. If you're a Bible-believing Christian, I'm begging you to pray for him. Pray for his protection. If it is God's will that he is protected, then there's nothing they can do to stop him. As powerful as they are, there's nothing we can do to stop them from going after him. You and I, we can't do anything directly. If they want to find Christine Blasey Ford, his version of her, if they want to try to take him out, we saw what happened when the first assassination attempt against President Trump. There were people that were like, hey, look, a guy on the roof. Even those people that were there, close by, even the non-compromised police officers that were there close by, they couldn't stop it. They couldn't stop it. And somebody died as a result. And I don't know if that was the deep state or if he was a lone wolf or I don't know. Yeah, that's stuff that we'll never know about that, perhaps. Maybe we will, but I don't think we will ever know the truth about any of the assassination attempts, and there were probably more that we don't even know about. But we do know that something compelled President Trump to turn just at the right moment. If he hadn't turned his head, he would not be here today. We would probably have President Kamala Harris or President Nikki Haley at this point, or maybe even still President Joe Biden. Who knows? We wouldn't be facing this prospect of having President Trump here. And I praise God for that. I do believe wholeheartedly that God protected Trump that day, and we have to pray that it is God's will to protect Kash Patel as well. I think that he can do a whole lot. Let's pray that he's not compromised in any way. And to be clear, I don't think that he is. It would be awful if he were compromised, because he's still saying the things that somebody who's not compromised would say. All right. Well, let's hope that nothing happens to him in that regard. Let's hope that they're not able to find some dirt on him. Let's hope that they're not able to do something worse to him, because if he is, assuming that he is the next director of the FBI, whether he gets properly confirmed through the Senate or if he's just put in as acting director for 210 days, there's still a whole lot that he can do no matter what. And I want him to do it. Elon Musk can do a whole lot. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. can do a whole lot. Tom Homan can do a whole lot. Pete Hegseth can do a lot. Okay, President Trump has put forth a great team. But Kash Patel, to me, he is the linchpin. He is the catalyst. If we are ever to defeat the deep state, the time is now, and Kash Patel is the man to do it. You can find my channels, my articles, my socials at jdrucker.com/find. That's jdrucker.com/find.